Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome back to Easy Mathematics. We thank God for another opportunity to bring to you another interesting lesson in Basic 9, which of course we started last week. We want to look at the final questions or solving some questions under under Venn diagram or two set problems. That is for both Basic 8 and also Basic 9. Okay, and as we said, we have more videos uploaded under Venn diagram or two set problem. And it looks like the two set problem has been something like public request or popular request, whereby most of our viewers or our subscribers, you are much more interested in Venn diagram. So as time goes on, we'll be bringing any questions based on two sets problem. Today we want to look at two examples that will be the last for today or under this lesson. So let's quickly look at the first example that we have. And I'm reading, it says that in a school of 50 pupils, 15 study English only and 20 study French only. 5 students do not study any of the two subjects. Illustrate the information on the Venn diagram and find the number of students who pass both subjects and French, or that study French. Now when we read this question, we didn't make good use or we didn't come across the word at least, telling you that there must be or there is a complement or the part that they didn't participate in what was going on, but they are in the universal set or in a class. But when we were reading, we saw or came across the word only. Now this only, we have to make very good use of the only, else we will get the illustration of the Venn diagram wrongly. So in a class of 50 people, so in solving, I need my data. So my data, I am going to say, let the number u be my universal set. And from the question, the universal set is 50. Okay? Assuming the universal set is not given, we just represent it with the variable. But once the universal set is given as 50. So we write it down. Now the subject they are talking about, or they are being given the problem under, are English and French. So we pick the first letters and say the number E should be English and the number F should be French. Now when we were reading, we were given that 15 study French only. French only is not the same as the number of students that study French or English. So 15 study English only. So this 15 is not for this English. No. The English here, there are some students in there that belongs also to French. So for that one, we have to write it on its own and say the number F, is English. So the number E only, which is what? 15. We should be very careful when only is stated in a question. So it says that 15 studied English only. So they studied English. They didn't involve themselves in studying French or in French. So we write it on its own. Then also, the number F only is 20, which was also given in a question. And 20 study French only. So we should always be careful when it comes to the only. When we continue, it says 5 students do not study any of the two subjects. So they are in the class, yes, or they are part of the people in the school, but they didn't study French, neither did they study English. So we call them what? Complement. So we are going to say the number E union F prime, okay? The number E union F prime, which means they are in the complement, they are in the universal set, but do not belong to the union of E and F, which is English and French. So we classify them as complement. And what is the number? They are 5. Okay, so now that they are 5, the person is asking to find the number of students who studied both. So we are going to say the number E intersection F, which is both subjects, we don't know. So let's represent with our variable. Okay, favorite one, of course, let's say X. Now you see the number of English and the number of French, we don't know them. So we can choose to represent this with a variable. It's also correct. Good. Now, after doing the data, this is going to help you to illustrate the information on the Venn diagram to solve for what you have been asked to solve for. So now, in getting my diagram, I am going to have 2 circles, one overlapping the other nicely. Then I'm going to give 1 circle to 1 subject, so the number E, then the number F. So since there is nothing there, you don't write anything. But when you continue, the only that has been given, we are going to write it at the region where it belongs to the English only. That is the most important thing. So English only is 15, so we just drop it here without subtracting the intersection, which is X. If it is only, we just write it at the region where it belongs to. So French only is 20, we just write it here. Then 5 did not study any of the 2 subjects. It is complement. We write it in the rectangle but outside the circles. Then we have our number U, which is equal to 50. Now in Venn diagram, we were told that anytime we have the region, all the regions combined together or put together gives us the universal set. So if I want the value of X, and what is X? X is the number of students who studied English and French, and they are X. So if I'm able to add everything and equate it to the universal set, whatever that I get becomes the value of what? Of X. So here I can say that my number U is equal to the region I plus region II plus region III plus region IV, since the IV is also included. So what do I have at my universal set? I have 50, which is equal to the R. I have 15 plus X plus 20 plus 5. And this gives me a simple equation to solve for X. So add this one, you are going to get 50 is equal to this plus this will give you 20 plus this will give you 40 plus X. So we have 50 minus 40 is equal to X. So we have 10 is equal to X, which means X is equal to 10. And this X is the number of students that studied both subjects. And the question demands you to find the number of students who studied both subjects. So what are you going to say? For I alpha, we are going to say that therefore 10 students study, therefore 10 students study both. We are done. So all we need to know is what the question is demanding, especially if there is only. We have to be extra careful, else we may get it wrong. So 10 students study both subjects. We are good to go. Now what is the next one saying? The next one is saying how many students study French. So that means we want the number here. Now the number here, it has been explained in our previous video that if you want the number here, we are going to add the region II to the region III. Okay, this is only. And those here, they studied English, they also studied French. So if I want the general number of students that study French, I am going to add the French only to the intersection. So if I want this, I'm going to say the number F, which is French, is equal to region II plus region III. Region II is X, and I solve to get what? 10. So I'm going to say this is equal to 10 plus 20. That gives me 30. So therefore, 30 students study French. And we are good to go. Okay, so here all you need to know is that if I want this number, add this, and that will give me this. So most of the times, what I tell my students or I tell students to do is that after you being able to solve for the ones you have been demanded to solve for, now redraw the diagram and replace the numbers that you have solved, and make sure that when you put everything together, it should be equal to the number that you have here. So let's see. If I want to redraw my Venn diagram, let's draw it small so that we can be able to get it there. So I'm redrawing and putting in the values as it's supposed to be. So the number U is 50. Then this is my number E, which is English. This is my number F, which is French. So I have the only for English as 15. I have the X as 10. And I have the only for French as 20. And I have my complement 5. So if I put this together, it will give me this. Likewise, if you put this together, it will give you this. So this is going to give you 25, and this is going to give you 30. Now let's add this plus this plus this plus this. If we add and we get 50, then it means our workings are correct, or our solution is correct. So here, if I add this to this, I'm getting 20, 30, 40, 50. So most of the times, if you want to prove that what you've done is correct, just redraw your diagram, intersect the numbers without the variable, and add the regions to get what you have as the universal set. And this is what is called the two-set problem. Two-set problem. It's very, very simple and easy. Now let's look at the last example. The last example says that 25 students in a class took an examination. So you have been given your universal set. 25 students in a class took an examination in maths and science. 17 of them passed in science. 17 of them passed in science. And 8 passed in both subjects. So here you have been given the intersection. 3 students did not pass in any of the 2 subjects. 3 students didn't pass in any of the 2 subjects. So they becomes what? Complement. Go. Illustrate this on the Venn diagram. Find the student who passed in mathematics. This question is very, very simple. All you need to do is your what? Is to draft your data. So if I have my solution, I need my data. And the data here, I am interested in what the question is talking about. Okay? So I'm going to say, let the number U be my universal set. Then what are they talking about? They are talking about subjects here. It could be games or sports. All you need to do is to know what they are talking about. It could also be tribes. Okay? Good. So we also have the universal set. So they are talking about maths and science. So the number M be my maths. The number S be my science. So it says that 25 students in a class. So that is the universal set. So which is what? 25. 17 of them passed in science. Now this science, it didn't say only. So I'm going to write the 17 at this portion for the science. Because 17 of them passed science. If it stated that only, then that one is going to be different. But it didn't say only. So since it is not only, it belongs to what? To science. Then when you continue, it says 8 passed in both subjects. 8 passed in both subjects. So the number M intersection S, which is both subjects, is 8 from the question. So you see here, with this question, you have been given your intersection. So not all questions that your intersection will not be given. Some you can be given, some you may not be given. And also the universal set, some you will be given, some you will not be given. So here you have been given your intersection as 8. So you just write it down. Then when you continue, 3 students did not pass any of the 2 subjects. That becomes your complement. They are in a class. The examination took place. Some passed, some didn't pass. So those that did not pass becomes complement. They are in the universal set, but belongs to none of the 2 topics they are talking about. So I'm going to say the number M union S prime, that is your complement. And from the question, they are 3. So once I have my data, what do I do? Just draw your diagram and intersect the values. So let me say this is my diagram. So I have one circle overlapping the other. Let's say this is the number M, this is the number S, and we have our number U, which is 25. So from the question, the size is 17. So since it is not only, we are going to write it at this column or at that portion. The mass is what you have been asked to find. Find the number of students who passed in maths or who passed mathematics. So we don't know those who passed in mathematics. So let's represent it with a variable. Let's say A. Is that clear? Good. Now, the 17 that passed science, they are not only, as I was saying. So we will write it here. But we have the intersection, which is both subjects, as 8. So we are going to write our 8. What did we say? We said that if the number is written at the top here, drop it inside the origin and subtract the intersection. So this becomes A minus 8. Also, drop the 17, subtract the intersection. So you are having 17 minus 8. And to do this calculation, we are getting 9 as our answer. Then 3 as complement is written here. Now what do you do? Add region I, region II, region III. Now we have this. Because the subtraction is possible, that is why we have this. But this it is not possible. And we have our complement. So we are going to say region I plus II plus III plus IV is equal to the number U. So what do I have at I? I have A minus 8. II plus 8